And we're moving, as I said, the second hour's theme is all about engineering and technology. We will now be talking to a amazing young developer who's also doing amazing things in this space, who has developed an app that is called Neighbourdo. Kgotsofatso Kgang is joining us on the line, and we'll be talking to him about his app as well. Morning, Kgotsofatso.
Hi, Konosa.
How are you?
I'm okay, and yourself?
Good. Thank you for joining us and making the time to speak to us
about thank you for having me.
Yes, about your app and what you're doing around there. What made you think about, first of all, what made you decide to go and study something that is around developing and coming up with apps? What did you actually study?
Okay, well, I studied computer science and electronics.
That's what I suspected.
Yes. And I've always been the techie in my social circles. So making an app came as no surprise to many people. And then I started out my professional career as a PHP developer. And right now I'm a penetration tester and a researcher at CSIR.
Oh, okay. Interesting. When most of us have a good idea for an app, we just tell it to our friends about it, and that's it.
Yes.
When a developer like you has an idea for an app, they have the ability to make it a reality. Just so tell us, how did you come up with the idea of Neighbourdo?
Okay. Well, Neighbourdo, as an idea, it started quite a while ago. I think about 2 years ago. It started as mainly a response to the currently booming global on-demand economy, where you see people like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, and Taxify providing really highly available and very accessible services through a technology product, and therefore also like disrupting an existing industry. So I'm all about disruption. So I thought, why not? Why not do something that is going to change how things are done quite drastically. And it was also a personal challenge to myself, asking myself, can I really execute something that I've been thinking about and actually follow through?
I must say, one thing I'm getting used to, and this is a bit of a left field, but I think I should share it just in case some of our listeners of you as well. I'm getting used to the use of disruptive when we describe technology that's groundbreaking. Because if you think about it, the word disruptive is got a negative connotation. Yes, but it's also got a negative connotation to it, because anything that's disruptive is not seen in a positive light. But when it comes to speaking about technology, the use of the word disruptive is actually meant in a positive way. That is actually going to change the face of technology. It's going to change the way things are doing. It's simultaneous to saying it's groundbreaking, coming up with something that's groundbreaking. So I just wanted to express that, because when I first heard of this, I even corrected the person, said, no man, don't you mean groundbreaking? And they said, no, as in it's going to disrupt and really change the way things are seen when it comes to this technology. Can you explain to us exactly what Neighbourdo does? I know that it's connecting people to services in the area, but just give us a bit more detail on what exactly it does.
Okay. Well, I designed Neighbourdo as a platform to do exactly that, to connect people who have time and a need to earn additional income with people who have tasks that they would rather not do themselves. So these tasks would usually not be very complex things. So Neighbourdo in its early days will be based on mainly ad hoc tasks, as in moving an item from point A to point B, or going from point A to point B and doing something for someone. And the range of tasks you can request on Neighbourdo is actually so broad. You could go as far as literally asking someone to come wash dishes for you.
Really?
And if someone is willing to do it, they will accept that task and they will come and do your dishes, because that's exactly what you requested.
But okay, that's an interesting thing, and I just want to ask you something now. But would somebody who would respond to a request for somebody to come and wash their dishes, would they even would they even have data to be able to pick this up?
Well, I would imagine to be on Neighbourdo, you do need data. So to an extent, yes, you would still need to have access to internet.
Yeah.
But the basic idea here is that I'm just creating an open marketplace where people can literally create any kind of task that they can imagine. And if someone is willing to do it, and
They'll
of course, if it's a legal thing, then someone can do it.
So I could literally go onto the app and request someone to come and fix my light bulb for me, and someone will come and do it.
Yes, if you are paying the right amount and someone is willing, then I'm sure you won't have a problem finding someone to do a task as trivial as changing a light bulb.
But I mean, it's just as trivial as washing dishes.
Yes. So yeah, some people would question and ask, Kgotso, but are you not just creating another way for people to be lazy?
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily that. I'm just giving you one of those edge cases where, you'd find people using a service in a way that you had previously not imagined.
Yeah. What you're basically doing is taking it back to the old age rule of willing buyer, willing seller.
Yes.
Basically.
That's what's happening. But then with this added dynamic that what I call the runners on Neighbourdo are essentially what a driver is to Uber.
Oh, okay.
So the Neighbourdo runners would sign up and they set their own rates and they set their own working hours, and we schedule around those parameters. And you see, people are essentially employing themselves and earning additional income on their own terms.
So, for instance, I love interior decorating, and that's something I would really love to see if I can do on the side. So I could post my company profile on there, and if somebody needed someone to come and help them choose curtains, choose cushions, choose whatever, then that would be a platform for me to actually sell my services as well.
Neighbourdo in its initial form, in its launch form, which is coming in December, will not feature specialized skills just yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a feature that's currently in development.
Okay.
Right now, we're launching with the aim of fulfilling the need for ad hoc tasks, just general things to be done.
Okay, like change my tire, please. I don't know how to do it.
Change my tire, deliver my washing machine from the store where I bought it to somewhere else, or help me move, things like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting. So what steps did you take to start making the actual app? What were the first steps that you took?
Oh, yeah. Well, initially, I was a PHP developer, as I've previously said. So that gave me a good foundation, because to become an Android developer, if you have a web development background, you'll be at more of an advantage. It will be easier to learn the concepts, because just as the websites in your web browser are based on a language called HTML, the views inside your Android app are based on a language called XML, which is related to HTML. So it's quite an easy path to navigate if you're already a web developer, which I was. So there's online courses from places like Udacity, where Google has developed a set of courses at different levels, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, to learn how to develop your own Android apps. And it's actually quite entertaining, because they have video content, and it's story-based even, so you never really get bored. They take you literally from first principles up to a point where you are a confident Android developer at literally no cost.
Wow. For our listeners who are listening out there who have thought about having an app idea and just were not able to develop it, can you just repeat the website? Where would they be able to go and get that to be able to start training themselves?
I used a website called www.udacity.com.
Okay.
You can add on by /courses/Android. Then you'll find the page with all the Android courses, and you can start from the beginner level. And trust me, it's well structured. You won't get lost throughout the programs.
Wow. Thank you, Kgotso, for that piece of information. We're talking to Kgotsofatso Kgang on the Overnight Live with myself, Kgotsofatso, and we're talking about an app that is put together, Neighbourdo, and he just shared the website that you could go and learn to do your own apps. So if you are listening and you would love to speak to Kgotso about how you could go about starting your own app, or any questions that you've got with regards to apps, and if you're technological, savvy person who loves techie. I like to call them techies. We're talking to the right person here. Don't miss out. Be part of this conversation wherever you are. Call us on 021 446 0567. If you don't want to call and you're too shy, you're also welcome to send us your questions on WhatsApp, on our voice notes on 072 567 1567. We are talking to Kgotso Kgang, who I can say is a techno guru on the show with us. And if you've got any questions you want to know about apps, please do call us on 021 446 0567. Send us your WhatsApp voice notes to 072 567 1567. We'd love to hear from you and be part of this conversation. You don't want to miss out on this one. It's a very interesting one. And Kgotso, are you making this app alone?
Oh, yes. So with Neighbourdo, ever since I came up with the idea, I tried looking for people who are as passionate about such an idea as I was, and I really had no luck doing that.
Really?
And
wow.
I thought, yes, it was really hard to find people who are willing to make the time to work on this idea with me. So I eventually started working on it alone, and I am still the sole developer inside Neighbourdo, in that I am developing the Android app, I developed the website, I developed the web API on which Android runs, on which my application runs, actually. Yes, and so starting a business on your own usually requires you to gain a lot of skills in a small space of time, because I also now know how to use the Adobe Creative Suite to create videos. I know how to Photoshop. I had to create my own branding material, all of that. So it was quite a journey.
But quite an interesting and I might say a fulfilling journey and growth,
yes.
And growth for you as
now
well.
Now that it's at this point, yes.
I mean, to have studied computer science, you must be an intelligent person to start off with. But now you've added on to your skills as well with what you're doing. What are the costs involved? How have you been? Have you been measuring, keeping up to tabs of the hours that you're spending on this and the cost involved with actually putting this together?
Well, in terms of costs, I mainly incurred costs on the hosting of the website, buying the domain for the website. But other than that, there's been minimal costs, besides the occasional marketing on Facebook, the paid posts and all of that. For the server, you can actually start off on a free plan, which Amazon also offers. Someone can go on Amazon and host a website without paying a cent. They give you a year for that free hosting. Trial. It's called, that free trial. It's called the EC2 package. It's a very small little server. If you're not afraid of using a computer without a graphical user interface, because that's usually the best option for people who are running lean, don't want to spend a lot of money, but want a very powerful solution. You can approach companies like Amazon. Wow,
interesting. Just on a side as well, out of interest, what are your current favorite apps at the moment?
As you can imagine, having developed something like Neighbourdo, I am quite the Uber user. I am quite the Uber Eats user. I use Taxify. I use all my, I would say, competitors or kind of inspiration apps, because I go inside the app a lot and go through the user interface and possibly hop out with something new that I could possibly apply in my own app. I mainly use most of those apps to gain perspective on how the industry professionals are doing their own thing. Yeah.
I must say I haven't really used Uber Eats much, but how different is Uber Eats to Mr. Delivery?
Well, right now,
Because Mr. Delivery also has an app now.
yes, they do, and they recently revamped it as well.
Yes, I use that a lot.
Yeah, I also use that. But then, what has been going on between Uber Eats and Mr. Delivery is that they had a bit of a price war in terms of delivery fee when they were at $20, and then Mr. Delivery took it down to 15, and now Uber Eats is at 10. So yeah,
Sure.
they're having a nice, healthy competition that side.
Yeah.
But the apps are essentially the same thing. The only difference between the two, I would say, is that Uber Eats gives you more visibility over the progress of your order, and that you can see exactly where the driver is.
Oh,
just
yes.
Like in an Uber app.
Oh, because they use the navigation system so you can actually track it and all of that.
Yeah, they show you. Which, of course, would also help in terms of customer service.
Yes.
Customers would call in less
Yes.
because now they have visibility over their order.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. One thing I wanted to also just ask you with regards to creating an app, how do you go about with the copyright and the patenting of this so that nobody can copy it?
Yeah, when it comes to software development, defining intellectual property is really hard, considering that you want to define a process and say that it is yours, when many people have probably made similar iterations of the same concept. Because, for example, even globally, Neighbourdo is not a first.
Yes.
In the US, we have companies like TaskRabbit. TaskRabbit is essentially, I would say, the closest thing you can find that is Neighbourdo. The only difference between what TaskRabbit does and what I do in my app is that I break down the task into smaller bits where you can either define that the person needs to move from point A to point B, or the person needs to do something while they're at point B. So it's basically building blocks of tasks, whereas TaskRabbit is just describe your task and assign it to someone. Yeah.
So what is the timeline like to get a working demo? So how long did it take you to start? I know you said you want to launch in December, but what's the timeline of the steps that you need to take to get you to certain points?
Okay. Well, remember that I did not start out this app development being an Android developer. I was a PHP developer. So it took learning. So while I was learning, I was coding on the side as well. But then to actually start with the most rudimentary version of the app took me about 3 months to make, I would say.
Okay.
The minimum viable product. Like right now it's quite advanced, but to get it to a point where it's acceptable and it demonstrates the concept of what Neighbourdo is all about took me about 3 months. Of course, this will vary from person to person.
Yeah. And in terms of testing, how do you go about testing the app?
Testing the app would either be automated, as in the built-in tests that you can run inside your development environment, and also testing on multiple devices, because as you develop an app, you come to realize that you might think that it looks and works the same on one platform, because Android has different versions, and you're trying to develop one app that's going to run on many different versions of Android. So it is essential that you test it on as many versions of Android as possible to make sure that it still has the desired behavior and it's still the app that you intended it to be.
Okay. And what challenges would you say? I know you've spoken a lot about learning, and I think that has been a development for you more than a challenge, and a growth more than a challenge. But if you were to define challenges, what were the challenges that you were faced with in developing this and working towards getting to your December mark?
While developing this app, my major challenge is what you're trying to do legal.
Interesting. You don't want to break the law.
Yes, I did not want to break the law, and I wanted to make sure that by the time I want to publish this app, it's something that, of course, it's in demand as well. Because another challenge is as you start making an app that I would say doesn't exist in the current market, you wonder if there is a demand for it. And as with the little market research that I've done, of course, I had many doubts as to whether people would like it or not, even though my close friends and family members would tell me, oh, wow, that is a great app. What a good idea. That is going to work out. You still have doubts, thinking it might possibly not work out. These people are probably just being nice to me.
And how did you overcome the challenge of making sure what you're doing is legal? Did you consult a lawyer friend, lawyers around you, just to make sure that you're on the right track?
Oh, yes, I did consult lawyers, and mainly, Expo, there's an expo that I went to last year. I think it's a National Small Business Chamber, NSBC. I'm not sure if I'm expanding the NSBC, abbreviation correctly, yes. But it's NSBC, I think. I went to the expo, and they had such expos. You'd find lots of lawyers, of course, who deal a lot with entrepreneurs, and you don't even need to consult with a lawyer as in to pay. You can just ask someone like that a really passive question about something that's been bothering you, and free advice. Why not?
So one thing I wanted to understand, I didn't quite get clear. So did you actually quit your job to focus on this, or do you still work and then do this as well?
Oh, yeah, I still work and do this. Yeah. Initially, I had absolutely no time after work because you come back from work and
you're tired.
You're really tired. So I started regaining time.
Especially in your field. I'm sure you get home, you're so tired, your eyes don't even want to look at a screen anymore.
Right. You've been staring at a computer screen and you're only coming home to stare at a computer screen some more. So, yeah. The main thing that helped me, though, was regaining time from my travel to work by moving closer to where I work. And, stop doing the fun stuff. I really minimized on the fun stuff.
So you can focus on this.
Yeah, I'm the sole developer of an app. Of course, I will need much more time than a normal app development team would need to make something like this.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on being brave and going for what you want and being focused and limiting everything else that's going to distract you from this.
It's been hard. Thank you so much.
No, congratulations. And I hope having you here on our show will possibly give you, by the time you launch your app, have some customers already who are lining up to use it.
Oh, yes. Can I tell them where to engage with us?
Yes. I was still going to come to that, but you can go ahead and tell them now.
No,
tell them now. No, you tell them now.
First of all, there's a website. It's neighbourdo.co.za, which they can go to. And on the front page, there's also a sign-up form where if you sign up your details to be informed when the app launches, we're going to select a random 500 people. We're going to give 50 Rand vouchers to on their first service request.
Nice.
Yes. And then on Instagram, it's neighbourdo_ZA. And then on Twitter, it's @neighbourdo. And then on Facebook, it's Neighbourdo.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
So most young developers come up with apps and programs with the hope that a big company will buy it from them for a lot of money. Is this something you want, or do you want to stay small, you own it yourself, you have no interest of making lots of money for it and selling it to some other big company?
I know most people would probably sell an idea like this with the fear that big companies will literally come chowing down your income trail. Like, they will make sure they obliterate you with brute force coming from their pockets. So, yes, I won't have enough money to possibly compete with a big company coming to step into the the scene that I'm kind of creating in South Africa. But I plan to hold on to this company for as long as possible until it makes sense to, I don't know, sell to a bigger company who might possibly even do something bigger with the app that I created.
Okay. And would you be getting it onto Google Play eventually?
Yes. Right now, I'm in the process of doing exactly that. Getting it onto Google Play means you create a developer account, and then you pay the sign-up fee of about, I think it's $350. And after that, you are able to publish apps on Google. So, yeah, right now I'm in the process of getting it published, and then I will provide the public link when I'm ready to go live.
To launch it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just something about differentiation, because I mean, there's hundreds of apps as we've spoken about now as well, about some of the Uber Eats competing with Mr. Delivery. What are your plans about making your app stand out? What are the things you're going to do that this one people must just come to?
You know, I think it's always about constantly changing and adding features that enhance the conveniences that you previously had within the app when you launched. So I already have a number of features that I have lined up. So having a plan as to what your app is going to be, for example, 2 years from now, really helps, even when you're at the beginning, because you're able to develop with that in mind. So you put in kind of the slots as you code, where you're going to plug in all those new features that you have planned out. Okay. So you must have a timeline already when you launch.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, Kgotso. It was really, really lovely talking to you. And I can see you very passionate and committed and motivated to making sure that your app becomes a success. All I can do now is just wish you all the best and hope that it will be a success, and we'll look out for it in December when it comes. We'll look out on that platforms that you spoke about, your Neighbourdo app. Yeah, so thank you so much for making the time to speak to us, and we wish you all the best with this, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and thank you for making the time to come to speak to us this morning on the Overnight Live show. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope people are excited as I am about the app. And hopefully you guys download it.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.